everybody, you're watching Theresa and David's channel. I'm Theresa.
And I'm David. We have a great podcast today, as always.
Oh, I forgot to say.
What? What'd you forget?
You might be listening to this as well, eventually.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks also for listening. Weirdos.
Might be a little creepy.
Make sure you stick around all the way to the end. We sort of rotate different segments and different times. We have a new one called Terry's Tidbits.
Terry's Tidbits.
So if you want a bit of Terry's
No.
a bit of some bits of her tids.
No.
Some tidbits. little titty bits. Teeny tiny.
All right.
I don't know what I'm saying
Stick
anymore.
around for that new segment. If you dare.
If you dare. No, it's going to be fun. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
Like always.
Let's dive in.
Do you have anything like new in your life going on? Maybe?
No, just kidding. Yeah.
Then this
I
will be
do.
boring.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I got a part-time job. Woo!
Yeah, employment.
Employment.
Yay for employment.
Yes, no, so I got a part-time job at Bachman's, which is a garden and floral center, and it's so convenient because I live right across the street from it. So eventually I'll get a bike and I'll be able to bike to work.
Yeah.
But it's actually super exciting. It's really relaxed, and like even though it's very busy, like a lot of people are coming in during the daytime to buy all these gorgeous flowers.
Oh, it was just Mother's Day, so
yeah,
it must have
yeah.
been, that's got to be one of the busiest like weekends of the year.
Yeah, this past week was super busy, and but it's nice because you're just you're packaging in these really pretty boxes, and you've got like purple tissue, and so it's a really creative environment to be around, and like to see all these like colors from the flowers, and I feel inspired by it. So I might be painting more this summer.
Absolutely, you will be.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this summer. I feel like I said this last time too.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this.
Oh man, we definitely will be, making some money, a little side hustle for our own business that we're trying to do, stolenbenchstudios.com. We're going to continue adding more and more stuff that's part of our portfolio there.
Yep.
Teresa is getting really good with photography and also photo editing, stuff like that. But what was really awesome is, you saying, I'm going to get this other job, part-time gig as well, has given me the freedom to say I'm going to take it just a little bit easier in terms of how much I'm working over the summer.
Because he has been plugging away.
And that will mean that we get to spend more time together, which means we'll continue mind melding. Oh, you were... Ew.
Yours
gross.
was much better. Gross.
Ugh. And when we put our heads together without doing that
sound,
then I think we have oh my gosh, so much cool stuff that we're going to be doing
we have
this
in
summer.
mind.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I'm going to add that we just set up, you can kind of see behind me on this side,
over your
that we
right
got
shoulder
a
there.
new little office space.
Yeah, we do.
We invested in a desk and a chair and a little corkboard, and we're so excited to like really get to work this summer on some projects that we are very excited about.
In a chair that you can actually sit in for an extended period of
and
time.
not on our wonderful couch, but it is very old.
What's so funny is...
And I start to sink in.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then I'm gone.
What's the opposite of lumbar support?
That's so funny. Lumbar support.
I actually find it kind of funny that when we were looking for chairs, usually I think that the natural stereotype would be the man is looking for function and the woman is looking for fashion. What was hilarious is I fell in love with a chair that wasn't high backed at all, did not have a ton of support, but it was antique leather looking, and I was like, ooh, I could feel so cool brown. Sitting in that chair.
Yeah, it was very like, it was like if you put an office chair and like one of those big high back, like I'm very wealthy chairs, put them together and like, but it was not comfortable at all. And I was like,
I was trying to convince myself that it was perfect. This one that you see in
the background there, like even though it's not the prettiest chair, it is so nice to sit in, and you can type up straight and you're like, yeah, I'm working it.
I just thought that was kind of funny though, that I was like, ooh, I love the way this one looks. And you're like, yeah, you don't look at the chair, you sit in it. You sit in it. Like we don't buy a chair to look at. You want, we'll take a picture of it, you can look at it all you want.
We'll put it on our corkboard.
I thought that was so funny.
That's really funny.
But yeah, oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be
doing a lot of work this summer.
Yeah. Maybe we can give like a little preview on what we're...
Yeah, okay.
Because we've talked about, we got all these fun ideas, but what are those ideas?
We have just a general concept for 30-second films. Okay? I already have a bunch of ideas, but just taking like a really, really condensed length of time, but doing something cool and unique with it.
And keeping it to 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. 30-second films. Potentially, we are both in love with the idea of trying to do our own Foley artisting.
Yes. Yeah.
Just explain for people that don't know what Foley artists
is that a person? Like Chris Foley? No, that's Chris Farley.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. But no, so Foley artists, they're still around today. A lot of people are like, old, like black and white movies where you gotta have like the coconuts for the sound of the horse or something like that. But no, they're like legitimate people who work on big box office movies. And a lot of the times when you're filming something, say there's like, we'll just take the horse because that's like the most recognizable sound, going down a trail or something, and you can only pick up so much of the audio, but you want it to be more visual or audibly engaging, and so you have to figure out a way to find something that makes a similar sound, or like, I mean, they do that for so many things.
I thought you were joking when you said that was still a thing that people do. I was like, no, that's like what they did when people were dumb and didn't have technology.
No. I should put a link down in our description.
You should absolutely do that. The coolest one was
in school we watched a little like tutorial on how people do it.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. So I'll put
But it's like when people were crunching in the snow, and the way that just in front of the microphone, I don't even remember what they were doing to replicate that sound. But
it
I was
could be
like,
anything. Like
I thought it was
something.
Yeah, I thought it was like snow crunching.
No.
So that would be super fun though, to just take like something very simple and do all the sound effects ourselves as
Wouldn't
well.
that be so fun? Yeah.
It will be so fun.
It will be so fun. So that's one idea.
That's going to be one. Two, my goodness, we just went downstairs. There's like a little yoga studio, mirror setup. It's a great area to have in our fitness place in our apartment complex. And we danced together for the first time in what felt like a little while.
Long time.
And so we really want to do a video of us dancing together.
Yeah.
Probably just more content in general, also on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it's not as well produced.
Yeah.
Maybe music video-ish type of thing. We'll see.
Yeah, like
Figure it out.
storyline mixed with dancing. Yeah, it'd be really fun. But that's a skill set that we really need to like explore that more and stuff. Yeah.
That's how we fell in love.
Yeah, it is. Our third concept that I'm very excited about is a short film that we want to really make well and maybe submit to festivals.
This will be our big project for the summer.
Big project, but it stars my little brother PJ, and he loves playing the cello, and he is really good, and he has this red cello case. So I don't want to give you too much information, but it'll be a short film. I don't know how long. I'm definitely under 10 minutes.
Yeah,
probably around the like 6 to 8.
We'll have to figure that out, but it'll be relatively short.
And
but,
it'll be silent, but there'll be music in the background, obviously, but no talking, and just like really visually engaging.
PJ will be perfect. He is so well trained,
and he's
to be in front of the camera. I know, right?
He's
At this point in time.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So just in general, make sure you're following all of our stuff on social media, because starting, very soon, we're just going to have a lot more time together.
Definitely.
And I'm so excited to see everything that we do with that.
Yeah. And on that note, working together.
Oh, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
That's a good segue into working with each other.
Yeah.
We could just say we had an audition that we got to do together that was so much fun.
It was so fun.
And it was cool to have one of our agents like say, hey, we know you two are together. This could be a couple thing potentially. So film this together. Yeah. And it was like people just essentially struggling while moving, which we've done a bunch of times. So I feel like that should be pretty fun, pretty easy. Yeah.
And it was a self-tape audition, which they're starting to do a lot more of, which is
we're filming it ourselves.
Yeah, so the agency has you film yourself directly, and then they send it so you're kind of cutting out having to go somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, so it was it was fun to be able to do it yourself. It's also pretty difficult. Like, they were asking for quite a lot in the audition.
even like us
3
having a
separate
tripod
scenes
that can hold the camera and everything, it was like not easy.
It was not easy. So part of it is like, oh, super cool. Part of it is like, oh, this is difficult.
It also was on a day when I was gonna have to run to work, and I also thought I was working an hour later than I was, so it was like extra time crunch. We in some ways operate kind of differently, and it's been an opportunity, to learn how to compromise with each other in different ways. It was kind of crazy, one of our early podcasts that we watched back together, realizing I have this tendency to just go off on tangents and never come back to what I was talking about.
Tangent man.
I'm tangent
Giving
man.
you a theme song.
And I've tried, so now then it was so cool seeing it and be like, whoa, I need to try to get better about that. And then also watching the same thing and realizing there were these little moments where maybe I was going to try to like go in a different direction we hadn't talked about, or start doing like a weird character and thinking you're going to be on board.
And I'm just trying to plug away and get things done.
We said what we were going to talk about, and this is what we're going to
do, and this is what I have in my head, and
So that in general, that like, free flowing versus like having a structure and working inside of that, I think it's going to be really cool as we get better and better.
That could
working
be
together,
that will be like big strengths to have together. But when you're first you're tickling me, when you're first trying to figure out, okay, this is like how I operate and this is how you operate, and they're both strengths in themselves when they're put together. But how do you figure out like when it's actually happening? Because sometimes you're like, I don't understand why you're thinking the way you're thinking. So like when we're shooting this audition tape, we come to this point where it's like, in my head, we had talked about a plan, and it was a tentative plan, but still a plan. And I was like, oh, we're going to do this, this, and then this. And then you're like, oh, since we're here, let's do this. And I was like, oh, wait, and like short-circuiting.
That does not compute. that was funny, because to me, I was like, ooh, new idea popped into my head. Why don't we try this thing? And because I didn't have it in my head of like, we had a plan that we agreed to, that I, signed off on. Yeah. But in your head, you were like, what are you doing? Yeah. I
was like, wait a second.
We like said we would do this thing and now you're changing it. Why are you doing that? Yeah. And it was just kind of cool taking a second and being like, we're not on the same página.
Oh.
See?
Is that a word?
It means page in Spanish.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that.
So, and it's not that one way is right, wrong, good, bad. It's not about that. It's more thinking differently. And then the next time, if we go into it understanding that, we'll set ourselves up for a little more success, especially on a time crunch. But that was kind of cool to take that step back, be like, what is happening here?
Right, exactly. And being able to start really recognizing, okay, wait, we're just thinking in 2 different ways. So how can we make those strengths instead of weaknesses?
Although it did probably help getting us into like a flustered state of mind.
Yeah, then we're carrying those boxes.
So, that was fun. That would be cool. I think, they said today was the last day to submit, so if we don't find out today, we probably didn't get it, but it's a numbers game. They don't tell you if you don't
get it, they just tell you if you do get it.
That's fine.
So there you go.
But anyways, so that, I guess, is our relationship advice, is sometimes you just think it differently than each other, and it's not about I'm right, you're wrong, or
you have to
you're
change,
good, I'm
I
bad.
have to change, It's
just understanding each other more and more.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait till we're like 90 years old. And I can think of literally every single thing that's going through your head.
We will have like telepathy then.
Probably, actually, at that point. Yeah, we will. Oh man, then we're not going to be special because everyone will be able to.
Oh, man,
technology stinks. See? Anyways,
we should go into humor me.
Humorous me. This is if this is your first time watching or listening. This is a segment that we like to do, basically where we take something that maybe one of us cares a little more about than the other one, or maybe you're just tired of hearing me talk about sports, which, guess what I'm going to talk about today? You know what? Let me just go first.
Yeah, just go first. Get it over.
Time me. 60 seconds on the clock.
And go.
All right, so Boston Celtics sucked in the playoffs. Kyrie Irving basically had his 4 worst games of his playoff career in a row. It was really embarrassing. After game 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks, we blew the Bucks out. Al Horford was dominating on defense. The refs were calling a very even game at that point in time. They weren't giving Giannis don't even get me started. I know it will sound like sour grapes, but the truth is, I blame Kyrie Irving. I'm happy to see him walk in free agency. So nobody cares. I get a lot of hate around here because I'm a Boston sports fan. Nobody wants to hear any whining because we just won the World Series and the Patriots won the Super Bowl. And the Bruins are in the Eastern Conference Finals and they're up 2-0.
That's exciting.
Boston is title town, so suck on that, Minnesota, which is where we live. You think you're all about hockey? The Wild weren't even in the playoffs. So, go Boston.
Stop it with that.
Stop it right now.
Minnesota's a great state. Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you for humoring me.
I'm going to talk about technology.
Do it. 60 seconds. Ready and go.
Okay, so we have such a great setup now. And I think I talked a little bit about that last time about our setup. But I feel like in this phase of my life, I was in fashion. Like I was working 2.5 years at Nordstrom, like being kind of a stylist type person. And now I've made like a complete 180. And now I am like kind of a techie kind of girl, which is really fun. And I would have never thought that I would be in that place. But I'm super excited because we're going to start saving up to build our own computer. And I don't know all the components, but my brother-in-law and my dad are both really, really smart with technology, and they're going to help David and I literally put our own computer together to like do really good video editing and photo editing. And I just feel like I've learned so much, like, and even like different like acronyms and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I know what that is now, and I can.
5 seconds.
I just feel like I'm getting smarter, when your brain starts to work. So I'm really excited to see where I go. Okay.
Stop talking.
It always flies by so fast because you're like, oh, I'm starting to get on a roll, and then you're like, stop.
I might start like writing out an actual monologue.
That would be so funny.
That definitely is something that, of course, I'm psyched about. The idea of like us having a new computer that we have built together, but where you're like, ooh, and all the different components. I was like, that is like, it made me think of Ant-Man and the Wasp when they were like, we need the final component. It just feels like a not real thing.
Love those movies, yeah, so cool.
I am perfectly happy with how technology works being a complete mystery to me. Like I really could care less. As like to me, I'm cool with that laptop over there. Might as well be sorcery that makes it do what it does what it do what it does.
Then I'm glad I'm a little bit more tuned in because one of us has to be.
I just don't really care, but that's why we have Humor Me.
That's why we have it.
If we do build our own computer, which still it seems like that's not something that is possible for us to do.
Going to happen.
We should like just document that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
be super
definitely.
fun.
For sure. Oh
super
my
fun.
Gosh.
All right, let's go into halftime.
Yeah.
So we can do a little smooching. You ready?
Yeah.
For 7 seconds in heaven.
A Smokey Bear balloon with the pilot and 2 young children aboard crashes into a radio tower in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
There's Smokey out there.
Welcome back to Theresa and David's podcast.
Welcome back to NPR. Something. I never really listened to NPR. I just know that people always like.
It was so soothing. I used to listen to it in the car on the way to school.
What does it stand for? Something
National
radio?
Public Radio.
There you go. Well, that's not what this is. This is Theresa and David's podcast.
Oh, woo, woo, woo.
And
No,
I'm excited.
So
It was so embarrassing for me, too. I'm so excited for... I don't even know what you're going to talk about. But why don't you just like introduce your new segment? Give us a little background.
So, my new segment is called Terry's Tidbits. And I'm excited because I just realized I have a lot of like random things that I'm into, like just from like technology stuff to fashion to whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I find out random things all the time about these things. And I'm like, I should share them with people because they might be helpful to you. And so I am going to start the segment called Terry's Tidbits. And it's just going to be a quick little like fact or like...
Basically like a Snapple fact. almost,
in a
something
way.
like that.
Yeah.
Just here's something interesting, something weird.
Yeah.
So hit
here's
us. What's interesting?
Terry's tidbit. So I started at Bachman's, and I work in specifically the floral department. Lots of cut flowers or like small potted plants. So not a lot of like the big like fertilizers or like planting in trees and stuff. So that's good because I have no idea about any of that stuff. And I'm learning a lot about flowers. One thing I thought was very interesting that I heard my manager tell a customer was that if you buy a plant and, it's in soil or whatever, and it's whatever, and you're like, oh, I like this pot, you have to make sure the pot is the right size for the plant, because if you have this small plant or flower and you want to pot it in this big thing and it's just that one thing, when the roots start to grow into that soil, they'll go into distress mode and they will literally start to die because they're like, I can't make it. I don't know. That's what I...
Oh, because they try to reach further than they should be?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And I guess a lot of people kill plants that way because you're putting it in a pot that's too big, or I guess you could buy a big pot that's too small for a bigger plant or something, but it's just that bigger pot for a small plant. I was like, that is fascinating. So that's my tidbit.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Root distress is not something I expected to hear today.
Root distress. I don't know.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's like when a parent has too high expectations for their kid and they go into distress because they're like, I can't do it. I can't reach as high as you want me to go.
Very poignant.
Yeah, like stage parents or something.
Yikes. Let's never be those parents that plant our children in too big of a pot.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to say, let's not disappoint our parents. But yeah, let's also not do that.
Let's also not do that.
No distress. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been waiting to tell the story.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So let's jump right into Downtown.
With David.
With David. I was going to tell the story last week on the podcast. I still don't know what to make of what happened.
Oh, is this the weird...
Yeah, okay. So I'm downtown, I'm bartending, and it was kind of busy. I'm by myself behind the bar. It was on a Monday night, and this guy walks in. Picture, Tarzan, like Disney's Tarzan. It was Disney, right? Wasn't Pixar?
Everything is.
Everything. Disney owns everything.
Even if it's Pixar, it's probably still Disney.
Probably still Disney. So Jane's dad, picture somebody that looked like that.
With the little hat.
Yes.
The little guy.
Had the hat on and also had a coat with almost military looking pins on it.
Funny.
And also had a clown nose on. And he just wanders up to the bar and I'm like, I don't have time to figure out what is going on with you, but I hope I honestly thought maybe this is guerrilla marketing for a theater performance that this person is in, because he looked like a character. He didn't look like just somebody that would be out and about. So he didn't want anything like alcohol to drink. He wanted soda water with grenadine in it, and then he asked for a full complement of garnishes. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
And he's got this...
he said your finest club soda.
And he's leaning against it. I'm just picturing...
Yeah.
With this clown nose.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know what any of that means, but I'm going to give it to you. Please don't murder everybody here. That's what I was thinking. So I'm like, here you go, buddy. He grabs the glass, walks straight out the door, just into the night. And I'm like, well, I just saw a ghost, and I gave him essentially a Shirley Temple-ish type beverage.
My question is, did anybody else see this person?
Kaylin, my manager, did later, and anyways, point is, the guy ended up coming back.
An hour later.
And he was like,
right?
I'll have another, please. I'm like, oh, you mean our finest club soda with a bunch of grenadine and a full complement of garnishes? Sure, same thing. And then at that point he stayed in the restaurant. He was just kind of meandering around. My manager was like, you gave him alcohol? And I was like, I didn't give him anything. Whatever he's on, it's his. It did not come from me.
It's in whatever that nose is.
And then he made his way back to the bar. Yeah, he's got a clown nose on his
really
face.
Freaking me out.
And I didn't have time to just be like, let me explore what this person's deal is, because there's other stuff going on.
Right,
you know what I mean? I'm doing other things. But then I had a little moment where I come back over and I'm like, hey, you're still cool, right? You're still not gonna murder everyone who's here.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, I'll never forget exactly the way he said it. He was like, "Sir, you've been so kind. Here you go." And he gives me his card, which it's got his name, and on the back it says something about like Cannabis Society. And I was like, all right, this is starting to make a little bit more sense potentially.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then he was like, he just starts telling me almost like a story. He's like, when I was in the English department, Professor so-and-so, I forget what her name was, she was married to the head of the department. But she left him to spend the last 15 years of her life with me.
Oh my gosh.
I was just a 17-year-old boy. I don't know what she saw in me. I'm just standing there while he's got this clown nose on, and he's like,
oh my gosh,
65 years old, probably something like that. And I'm just sitting there like, what are you talking about, dude? What is happening?
Like out of all the things that he could have said.
And then he just turned around and walked away. And I was still mostly convinced that maybe I was tired and I was like hallucinating, or maybe I saw some kind of weird ghost. But I had the physical card, but then also my manager had bumped into him as well, and he gave her his card as well. And she looked him up on Facebook, and we had this conversation last week. She looked him up on Facebook and just like kind of went through some of his photos and stuff. And one of them, this is what she said, was him, I don't know how to phrase this delicately, I'm at a loss for words. I have to describe it. Taking all of your man business and tucking it like back behind with your like legs closed together, so it looks like there's nothing there.
And he's in the nude.
100%, yeah, 100% naked. And this is what she described, and I was like, well, I have to see this for myself.
No.
So I looked him up. Looked him up on Facebook, and it was him like laying down like this with everything tucked back, and it was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. But I also had to look. I had to see it. I had to know. And I clearly still there's no like punchline, there's no big ending to this. It's more just
it makes you feel like
I don't even know what to say about it.
Sad and weird, and I don't want to hear that story again.
There you go. Weird
So
stuff
gross.
always happens downtown.
Weird stuff. Really, you always have like the
bizarre.
weirdest stories. Dang,
So
Minneapolis.
dang Minneapolis.
Oh man.
I bet he has some really good weed though, because he's got to be on something.
If you've had an encounter with Clown Tarzan Man, let us know in the comments. Hopefully you have not.
Anyways, we move on from that. Leave it behind us forever.
Never
Have
go
I
back
ever.
to it. Oh my gosh.
Before we get out of here, though, we want to we're gonna be talking about going to Australia all the time.
Oh yeah.
Leading up to it, definitely make sure if you aren't subscribe to our channel, because we're gonna be doing a lot of cool stuff there. We're going to our friend's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We're hanging out with them the other night, just kind of doing some rough mapping out what we want to do. We're gonna be there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so we're gonna have time.
It's gonna be such a good adventure, like a real adventure. So if you guys have been to Australia, we have kind of the places we're gonna go. Obviously, to the wedding, which is in Adelaide. We fly into Melbourne, and then we'd like to go to Sydney and Queensland, but we don't have any specific places in those places that we're planning to go to. So if you've been to Australia and you're like, you have to go here, then leave us a comment or send us an email. I'll put the email in the description too. If you're like, I don't want, public, I don't know. But yeah,
definitely
sure
just leave a comment. Also, we're trying to figure out, because there was this thing that we looked at, like, do we take a hot air balloon ride? Do we do a hot air balloon ride or not? Because it is pretty expensive, but also it might be a once in a lifetime thing. Because like, when are we ever going to be
literally
justifying
above the Outback?
But I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
From the time I first saw like the old school version of Around the World in 80 Days, I was like, I need to ride in a hot air balloon.
Yeah, both a dream of ours. So.
But I don't know. I would be so sad if it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So if you have been in
anywhere.
a hot air balloon, like legit, around, going around, just let us know.
Be
Was
like,
it worth
it's
it?
a must, or like,
Yeah.
wasn't worth it, or like, anything. It would be helpful to know if anyone else has done that.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we should wrap this podcast up.
Wrap the sucker up.
Wrap
Well,
it up.
before we do that, I have a video I want to
yes,
show you.
yes. We can't forget.
I'm pretty sure that right now I have a winning percentage, that or it's 50-50 with whether you have laughed or not laughed. So this is a Family Guy clip.
Well, and this is, will Terry think
Oh,
it's
yeah,
funny?
yeah. Will Terry think it's funny? Will Terry think it's funny? Let's find out together.
Will she? I'm always apprehensive. But here we go. Last time you made me
My
laugh.
goal is to shoot better than 50%. Eventually, maybe I'll be doing even better than that. But
Yep.
but for right now, it'll be okay. So this is a Family Guy clip.
Okay.
And Family Guy really strongly formed my sense of humor when I was a young lad. So yeah, just
All
getting
right,
hit.
here we go. And go.
I can't believe you let Mr. Swanson confiscate the closest thing I had to a car.
Relax, Meg. It's not the worst thing I've ever done. You remember that favor I did for that park ranger?
Hey, boo-boo, let's see what we got in this picnic basket.
Tell the other bears what you just saw.
Oh no, you didn't laugh at all.
I don't feel like, I feel so giggly inside. It was funny that he was like, shh, 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 shh.
Yeah.
That's funny. But like,
You didn't laugh. You
I
didn't LOL.
No, I
that's
didn't.
the standard, is an LOL. I think it's hilarious how seriously you take violence that happens in cartoons.
Yeah. Well, they're childhood memories. Like,
Did you watch Yogi Bear?
yeah.
You did?
Yes.
All right. Well, sorry.
Hey, boo boo. You know?
That's so funny.
I mean, I was really young, but like, yeah. It's
Darn
like,
it.
haha, it's funny, but it's not like, oh.
All right. Well, I'll get you next week. It was, I don't care what anybody says. That's hilarious. It's one of my favorite Family Guy clips of all time.
Yeah, we can call that as a neutral. Maybe we have some neutral ones where it wasn't like, I am not going to talk to you for the next 5 minutes, but it's also not like, that was so funny.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Yeah, like we can do that.
Anyways, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Please make sure if you're not subscribed that you subscribe. We talked about this last week. You need to have an account with YouTube to be a
Yep.
subscriber. It's so easy to
it's
do.
a free account. You just use your email,
Yeah.
yada yada, and then you can hit subscribe. So
Yada yada at yada yada dot yada.
yada.
Yeah, so do that. Follow us on social media. I'm telling you, I'm so excited for this summer. We're going to be generating a lot more content. We're just going to have a lot more time together doing a lot of really creative stuff. Terry's going to do some paintings that we're going to hang up on the wall. Maybe we could, even do
a
something with
segment
that.
on that, yeah.
So you go ahead and do that. We're going to end the way we always do, which is ending on the same page with the same word.
Yeah.
So
once
ready?
you see those end screens pop up a little bit here, feel
Just
free to click
yeah,
out
click
of
on
here
one. Check out our
or
other stuff.
see if we make it.
You ready?
Yep, ready.
1, 2, 3,
garden.
Sofa and garden.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, set.
feathers.
Like I set on a sofa. Let's go set in the. No, okay.
Oh, set
and feathers.
And feathers.
Interesting. Set and feathers.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Turkey.
Hatch. Oh, turkey. I was.
You said
What is
hatch?
it called? The word I was trying to think is incubate, actually.
Oh, so
But I said hatch.
turkey and
Turkey
hatch.
and hatch. 1, 2, 3.
Egg.
Egg. Hey,
Easy
that's great.
peasy, lemon
Sometimes what's so
squeezy.
funny is when one person says something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It helps.
Sometimes
with the very
that's
next
it.
one.
You guys should try that. Anyway, yeah.
Egg. Let's go eat some eggs.
Let's
I'm
do
hungry.
it.
Come here.
Peace.